name's James Maroney. I was a Jonathan Law graduate. Both my parents actually were Jonathan Law graduates, and my brother and sister were also law graduates. So, and then we all went on, from there. In the time since I've started the business, I've toured over 100 different college campuses. And I've worked with students from all over. Students from, mainly in this area, but I've had students from Saudi Arabia, Hawaii, Texas, California, and I've helped them through all aspects of the college search process. And I've had students go to schools ranging from Ivy League schools down to a diesel marine mechanic school in Florida. So we've seen kind of both ends of the spectrum. First thing, and I call this presentation 9 Things You Need to Know About College Planning, and I'm going to try to go through. If you have questions as we go, just raise your hand, and I'll try to answer them as we go. First thing, that I want to make, first point I want to make is that college is a lesson in decision making, right? And as parents, I know the one thing I guess you try to teach your kids to make good decisions and hope that when the time comes that they'll make those good decisions. At least that's the way I'm hoping to work with my son. This, for many students, really, this is the first major life decision that they'll have to make. And it's the first of many big decisions that they will have to make, right? After college, what job do you accept, and other large investments as you go on, purchasing a house, purchasing a car. All of these things really involve the same process. You gather information from a variety of sources, put all that information together, and then you make the best decision you can. One of the keys is owning the decision and the responsibility for making the decision. Another thing is looking at the sources. Right? You get information from a variety of sources, and every source has their own angle or their own spin. So being able to discern what is the spin that they're putting on this, is it valid for me? Right? And ultimately, it's the student who's going to be living there. I look at college in a few ways. One, I was an economics major, and so I look at it as an investment. Right? It's an investment in what they call human capital. The amount of money you're going to earn over a lifetime. The average college graduate earns more than twice that of the average high school graduate over a lifetime. So you're investing in your earnings potential and also in developing yourself as a person. So as well as an investment decision, and also it's a significant financial investment on the parents' part. You're looking at the average state school, if you're going to live there, is about $15,000. UConn's a little more, the other 4 are less. So you're looking at $60,000 to a lot of the private schools now around $50,000 a year or over $50,000 a year. So you're looking at investing between $60,000 to $200,000 over the next 4 years. And again, as I usually start by saying this is the first of many bad pieces of information I'll have to give you, so I should be handing out tissues instead of, or at least print these on softer paper so you can use it to wipe your eyes as you go through. But, again, if done correctly, there is a lot of stress in the process, but if done correctly, it is a very valuable lesson, right? In learning about yourself, it's a growth process, right? All through high school, you're growing, and then in college, you're going to as you apply to college, you learn more about yourself, what you're looking for, where you would be happiest, where you would learn best, and then you continue to grow as you go to college and move on into your career. One thing that I would like to say is I think there's so much focus has been put on the college process, or the college experience, that in a lot of places we're losing the high school experience. I think people are too focused on looking good for college that they're failing to enjoy high school, right, and get the most out of that experience, which is also part of the growth process. Can you move to the next slide? So again, we talk about this. This is a very important investment. It's a very important decision. What are the sources we're going to use to gather information for this decision? Obviously the internet. Right? The internet is a great source of information, but you have a lot of different sites out there. I'm sure if you have your Gmail accounts and Google collects all their information about you, so every time you log on, they're putting up ads for all different college websites. What's their spin? Right? How are they making money from that site is one thing to consider as you look at their information. Are they trying to sell you something? And then when you look at the schools, remember, schools really are a business. Not all of the colleges have these large endowments like the Yales, the Harvards, Princetons, where they can move money from one fund into an operating fund. Most schools are tuition-driven businesses, right? And in order to stay in business, they need to put butts in the seats, right? And so if you look at the marketing or at the admissions tab of any web page, it's really marketing, right? Actually, let's rewind to the beginning. What ages do we have here? How many people are parents of seniors? Okay. Juniors. Younger than juniors, sophomores or freshmen. Great. That's great. So, multiples. Okay. My brother, sister, and I were all a year apart, so we're Irish triplets, right? And so there were 3 of us in college at once, which for financial aid is good because they divide the amount of money they expect you can pay by how many children you have. I mean, not exactly by 3, but roughly. Okay. So for those of you who are juniors now, those who are seniors can tell them that after they take the PSAT, starting in about January of junior year through the next year, how many catalogs would you say you get every day in the mail?
Oh my God.
One? How many trees have died throughout?
Shopping bag full of catalogs. Shopping bag.
And I remember,
like 10 from, I mean, you get them once a month from the same school. You know, you go.
and they all look the same,
Yes.
right? Everyone, it's this big, smiling, happy family. They're all hugging. They use the same buzzwords,
I've gotten
right?
one from one school. I've gotten a half a dozen from the same school. You know, they just keep sending them to me.
If
Oh,
you
gosh.
cross out the names, the information they put looks pretty much the same for the most part. You know, they talk about small class size, individual attention, diversity, right, and technology, and now always the focus on careers, you know, career placement, getting a job afterwards, which again, if it's an investment, where's your payoff when you get your job afterwards? So making sure that they're helping you in whatever your next step is too is important. But those are marketing pieces. Those are throwaway pieces, right? They don't show you, if it's Syracuse, they're not going to show you the snowy, rainy, muddy day that you're going to live in for the majority of the time there. It's always a beautiful fall day or a sunny spring day where everyone, you know, again, everyone's hugging. The other one that was popular a few years ago was the jump shot with a group of people all jumping at once, right? But you see the same things. They're marketing pieces. So you have to learn to look through that. I mean, it is a good source of information because most colleges, when you go around, there's always construction on the campus, right? They're always adding on new things. So the school's brochures are a good source of information as to the current facilities, current programs, and unfortunately current tuition. That's the most accurate. A lot of the other places may be outdated on the tuition, which leads you to believe the school is a better deal than it really might be. When you go to the website, there are what I call list building sites, places where you would start to kind of build your funnel of schools, right, where you can look at information on a large number of schools. A great starting place is the College Board. Right, the College Board website has a college finder on there. Another good one, Princeton Review, right? The review, and they have the Counselor-O-Matic, which will tell you, you know, if schools are a good match and if they think it's a reach, possible safety.